Quickies are mine. I eat pancakes for breakfast.
Many of you are waking up to the breaking news this morning that PSA bought SGC.
Dun,
And wow.
dun. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, we have breaking news.
Everybody's talking about, so I might as well talk about it too, right? So PSA has bought SGC.
I'm still scrolling through this Twitter feed here, trying to get some information about
of SGC and PSA now being married together.
Parent company from PSA has now purchased SGC. What does this mean for you?
The parent company of PSA has acquired SGC in a huge purchase. Let's talk about it.
Wow. Off center ends, and literally 30 seconds later, Ravel tweets, Collectors is acquiring SGC.
PSA has acquired SGC according to Darren Ravel. Was this proactive or was it reactive?
Got back from the gym and have been made aware by you guys that overnight, in the dark of night, PSA swallowed SGC whole. In reality,
pretty insane news in the world of sports cards and trading cards from Darren Ravel on Twitter. Breaking: Collectors, parent company of PSA, is acquiring SGC.
And my first thought to him was, shut
April
the
Fools?
fuck up. Yeah. You know,
Wait a
that's too
minute.
late
It's not even March yet. You're a month early, dude.
It's too late for this nonsense.
And I was not the first, by the way. But I had a video out just explaining that Collectors, the parent of PSA, purchased SGC. There were a lot of open questions.
We have some breaking news regarding PSA. They have apparently, their parent Collectors has acquired SGC. This is...
What's going on, everybody? Breaking news, if you have not yet heard. The rumors are swirling that PSA just purchased SGC.
Link in the description for you on Neo's Cards and Comics. He ended up going live to talk about this story, and I ended up joining him as well as Bobbles and Ball Cards and Mike Geo from Sports Card Nonsense. So we ended up having a little bit of a panel discussion conversation.
I got a bunch of DMs, and I saw this. Actually, Neo was posting something on IG. I didn't click on it, but I saw the headline, then researched it, and I'm like, oh, PSA acquires SGC. Darren Ravel.
What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. Today, dip back into the PSA SGC news. We've all had...
And possibly a new SGC slab coming?
Darren Ravel breaking the news on this. So Darren Ravel is obviously very credible. He's like a reporter, a journalist. So
SGC Pete has spoken up, and I know what you're thinking, Dustin. You literally just put a video out maybe an hour ago.
Reported by Darren Ravel on X. Yeah, the title was right. Collectors, the parent company of PSA, is buying SGC. Holy cow.
Welcome, everyone. So, all the videos, content creators that I used in the opening, no bias there. All I did was search into YouTube PSA Buys SGC. By the time this video actually airs and you're watching this, several of these content creators would have been on their possibly third video by now, the majority of them, covering the same topic. PSA buys SGC. What does it mean? And most of the discussion, and I'm not saying it's a wrong discussion to have, but it is speculative. Everyone's speculating. I, on the other hand, think there are two events previously that we can analyze, dissect, learn about what possibly could happen. No need to speculate. In my opinion, and hopefully you find this video more valuable than me just ending or starting a video with what does it mean. So PSA buys SGC, what does it mean? First off, we're going to explain to you a little bit understanding of the grading scale, changes, service interruptions, why it's important. Secondly, let's talk about the latest acquisition. Then what happens when a grading company shuts down services? What happens when a grading company changes the scale and labels? Then finally, grading game changers, the insight driven lessons and opportunity to further learn, in my opinion. So let's go ahead. Understanding grading scale changes and service interruptions. Grading scale changes and service interruptions impact is crucial. So understanding the impact of grading scale changes and service interruptions on the secondary market for graded sports cards and TCG is crucial not only for collectors but investors and traders for several reasons. So on the screen, market value, investment decisions, market confidence, collector preferences, and long-term trends. Market value changes to grading scales can directly impact the perceived value of graded cards. A shift in the scale could result in previously high graded cards being reevaluated, potentially affecting their market price. As for investment decisions, investors rely on grading to determine the value and potential return on investment for graded cards. Any changes to grading scales or interruptions in service can affect the stability and predictability of these investments. Consistency and reliability is all about marketing confidence. In grading are essential for maintaining confidence in the market. Any disruptions or changes that are perceived as unfair or inconsistent can undermine trust and impact market activity. Collectors often have specific preferences for grading companies and their grading scales. Changes for interruptions can influence their buying and selling decisions, affecting market dynamics. And lastly, long-term trends, understanding how grading scales, changes in service interruptions impact the market can provide insights into long-term trends and the overall health of the market. This knowledge can help stakeholders make informed decisions about their collections and investments. So now that we understand the importance of understanding the impact of the secondary market, let's go ahead and talk about the latest acquisition. Why not? There's at least 15 to 30 videos out there now. What's one more going to do? Now let's explore how the PSA buyout of SGC grading can affect the secondary market for graded cards and some holistic views on grading card marketing share. So we're going to use gem rate data here. Using gem rate data, it's fair to assume PSA targeted the vintage card grading market. And I'll explain more on the preceding slide, but PSA acquired SGC grading, releasing a statement allowing SGC to operate independently for now. This acquisition increases PSA's dominance, now holding over 70% market share already before they acquired SGC. So they're taking on an additional 7%, it looks like. Typically, an acquiring company buys the ownership and control of their competitor. The acquiring company may merge operations, integrate products, or keep them separate to expand offerings and eliminate competition. That's why I said allowing them to operate independently for now. So here's some stats. A third, so nearly a third of SGC's sports and TCG graded cards are vintage. 13 percentage points more than PSA Sports SGC's mix of grading vintage sports cards. So they grade more in their mix, not volume, right? PSA has the highest volume, but you get an idea of that they might be more specialists in vintage sports cards. 11 percentage points more than PSA TCG. SGGC mix of graded vintage TCG cards. We'll double click into this data. SGC leads in vintage grading, but CGC surpassed them in 90s TCG. And I'm really talking about the individual mixes of these companies, not total volumes. So throughout 2023, PSA struggled in the vintage sports card market with the exception of the 1980s era. So that is that dark blue bar in our top right bar graph, surpassing CGC by nearly 2 percentage points. And below, we'll examine the TCG vintage mix for each individual company. So before I dive into that, let's look at that top right bar graph, and you can kind of get a profile of the three grading card companies, PSA, SGC, CGC, and their sports. This is typically a graph I would show when I'm building a segmentation, and there are behaviors we're comparing against. So if you look smack in the middle, CGC Sports, they have higher percentages of their total mix go to vintage, right? Quick, easy read. If the bars are higher, we can make the assumption that they're more versed in vintage. That's for sports. Now, TCG is a little bit more nuanced. I included the errors going to 1990 to capture the vintage Pokemon TCG, and that's where CGC really shines above the rest. But let's talk to this graph a little bit. PSA lagged in all eras of vintage TCG. However, CGC led in the 1990s era, indicating its popularity among a segment of Pokemon TCG collectors. A lingering question out there is, what does a change like this does to collectors' perception on graded values? To answer that, let's analyze two similar events, in my opinion, using a proven data science modeling technique successful in assessing event impact. A causal impact time series. So what happens when a grading company shuts down services? Causal impact time series helps us understand how PSA temporarily disruption in service announcements affects the overall sports card market. So it leverages techniques of forecasting, what if scenarios, and triple exponential smoothing to get an accurate evaluation of impact. In the simplest form, I'm creating multiple forecasts, one before the announcement, and then one off of the actuals, smoothing out that data, comparing the two to get impact. In this case, we will leverage the card ladder CL50 index. PSA shutdown caused a 10% lift for the CL50 index value. Only in the short term. I'll cover that soon. So PSA made a strategic move on March 30th, 2021 by temporarily suspending grading card services below Super Express. For at least 90 days, this decision was made to address a backlog caused by a surge in submissions, receiving more cards in 3 days than in the previous 3 months, for example. The goal was to reopen all services around July 1st, 2021, showcasing PSA's commitment to quality amid high demand. However, we know the closure lasted longer than anticipated. So the graph to the right is those two forecasts I mentioned, smoothing them out as well, the actuals. So we're actually going to be comparing our blue versus our red, right? So that's the red line is our smoothed forecast value. The blue is the smoothed actuals instead of comparing the gray to the black. So you can see the blue line is higher than the red line, and that actually is about 10%. So causal impact modeling on card ladders CL50 index data reveals a short-term 10% increase in trading card value following the PSA shutdown announcement. So this supports the idea that collectors valued pre-shutdown graded cards more. The halo effect persisted until July 2021, but the index value later declined, averaging an 8% decrease by the end of the year 2021. So I think this kind of gives you an idea around the sentiment that you're hearing out there now is that, there's going to be a premium attached to pre PSA Collectors Universe takeover of SGC. The data, the modeling work shows us that, that premium previously was about 10%. So if you're trying to set a bar, we have an idea 10% is kind of your baseline. Now, what happens when a grading company changes the scale and labels? Should be no surprise here. Causal impact time series helps out as well. It's going to help us understand how CGC's announcement of CGC cards, new labels, and a new grading scale affects the 10 most sold Pokemon cards in a CGC 9.5 Gem Mint blue label. And the other criteria, they have to be included in the card ladder Pokemon Index. CGC's new labels and grading scale led to a 5% impact on 9.5 values. CGC's merger of sports and TCG business to form CGC cards, along with new labels and discontinuation of old grading, is intriguing. We should want to be answering these questions, looking deeper as data scientists, as collectors. Let's be curious. Collectors may value old blue labels, especially 9.5 Gem Mint. This highlights market reactions to grading and branding changes. So let's analyze the top 10 most sold CGC 9.5 Gem Mint cards from the card ladder Pokemon TCG Index using causal impact time series. The forecast will be before June 20th, 2023, when CGC made their announcement and refined both the forecast and actual sales data for accuracy, smoothing, test and training. This approach will allow us to evaluate the deviation between actual and forecasted values, offering valuable insights to collectors. So, similar graph from the PSA shutdown, but this time it's CGC says goodbye to the blue label. So we're going to be comparing the blue smoothed values and the red smoothed values. The red is going to be the forecast. So the gray, right, that top line is the actual values. But what this approach does is it controls for other outside factors that may not be related to just the CGC announcement, right? So could be the type of card hitting the market, other, potential manipulation, timing of the auctions, timing of the buy it now, who the buyer is. So that's why you can see we use the smoothing factor and the blue line versus the red is what we'll look at. So using this approach, causal impact modeling, on the top 10 Pokemon TCG cards graded 9.5 Gem Mint CGC shows a positive impact following the CGC label and grading scale change announcement. There's an average 5% increase in card value over 2 months. Now, what I do want to call out is that it actually peaks out at about 9%. And it's additive week to week. If you see the chart to the left, we start out at very minimal 1% lift, goes to 3, 5, 6, 8, and then 9%. So this supports the idea that collectors value pre-announcement graded cards with the assumption that CGC's stringent grading standards add to the lift. So to me, this is more interesting story because it's additive, the lift. So, PSA buys SGC, the insight-driven lessons. So, having explored 2 key grading events that shaped the landscape of grading over the past 2 years, we're able to uncover the potential impact to the secondary market the PSA buyout of CGC has. SGC, boy, leveraging data science and advanced analytics. We've gone beyond simply market share and have empowered our learnings. If you want to deep dive, double click into the analysis, all the interactive charts and graphs are on www.pancakebreakfaststats.com. You can export the data, conduct additional analysis on your own, read the detailed write-up that I have with it. So real quick, let's recap the journey to what does it mean, results from our holistic view on market share, and casual impact time series of 2 key events. First stop on the journey, using gem rate data, it's fair to assume PSA targeted the vintage card grading market. In 2023, PSA dominated the vintage sports card market, except for the 1980s era, where it surpassed CGC by nearly 2 percentage points. PSA lagged in all areas of vintage TCG, while CGC led in the 1990s era, appealing to Pokemon TCG collectors. Stop number 2. What happens when a grading company shuts down its services? So the causal impact modeling on Card Ladder's CL50 index data shows a short-term 10% increase in trading card value after the PSA shutdown announcement. This suggests collectors valued pre-shutdown graded cards more. The halo effect, which is that short-term lift, lasted until July 2021, but the index value later dropped, averaging an 8% decrease by the end of 2021. Third and final stop, our understanding of sellers' impact on value is supported by a proven prediction model, which is our causal impact modeling on the top 10 Pokemon TCG graded cards. 9.5 Gem Mint CGC indicates a positive impact after the CGC label and grading scale change announcement. So there's an average 5% increase in card value over 2 months, peaking at 9% recently. So this suggests that collectors value pre-announcement graded cards, possibly due to CGC's strict grading standards. What does it mean? The recommendation. Let's go over some learnings about collectors and changes. So collectors should exercise caution. What I mean by that, when speculating on what other buyers will consider collectible, especially regarding manufactured scarcity and the perceived value of graded cards due to grading company changes. Initially, the PSA shutdown led to a 10% increase in the CL50 index, but this was followed up by an 8% decrease, so be careful. The time windows to action are very small. Magnitude of grading card change, it matters. So what I mean by that is significantly in terms of sustainability of impact, CGC's transition to a new label, and the altercation of the grading scale had a more profound and lasting effect on trading card values compared to the temporary shutdown of services by PSA. So what I'm talking about is that additive lift effect that we saw. I'm Pancake Analytics. Here are some recommendations and solutions if we collectors want to understand future changes. Let's develop a propensity model. So we can build a propensity score, and what it does is it effectively predicts the likelihood of impact on individual grading cards. This understanding derived from analyzing a Pokemon card can be extended to the entire CGC Pokemon graded card database. This positions collectors for success in comprehending collector preferences during changes. How about we develop an ongoing analysis? The causal impact time series method can be used by collectors to gain insights into any event they wish to understand better. This approach could help collectors become leaders and surpass competitors in comprehending the secondary market and its connection to grading and card demand. Overall, the message is let's keep learning, let's keep developing tools, let's go beyond just asking the question, what does this mean, and speculating. So thank you for watching the video. Up next will be, do grading and pop counts, do they matter? I think it's a nuanced question, and for some cards it matters, some cards it doesn't. I'd almost make the argument it does not matter at all for TCG, just based on their print counts. They'll be coming in. I'll be leveraging gem rate data and card ladder indexes, and we'll build some really cool, fun models. So thank you for watching. Hope to see you soon.
Pancake, yeah!
Pancake, yeah!
I'm the queen of pancakes, yeah! Pancake is our life. I eat pancakes for breakfast, I eat pancakes for lunch, I eat pancakes for dinner. It's a pancake town in this whole world. I eat a baby pancake.
butter. And don't forget the scissor. Pancake Analytics is the stat wizard. She clackety clackety clack.
Pancake, 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 yeah.
Pancake, 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 yeah.